Well, youth are here celebrating their victory. They're celebrating a victory against corruption, a victory against KP Sharma Oli, and a victory of resilience and the kind of support.
In the last few days, Nepal has been engulfed in one of its worst political crises in history. And after 2 days of violent unrest with a lot of looting, arson, and killings, the government has, well, basically the Nepali military has taken control of the situation. And we now have an interim government led by the former Supreme Court Chief Justice. And things are gradually becoming, moving towards normalcy as far as possible that we can get. The Generation Z protest, the organizers, they focused their protest on anti-corruption measures, saying that Nepal was engulfed in massive, unsustainable corruption by the political parties, the political system. The movement was a massive demonstration of young people power, but there were no clear leaders involved that we could identify. So once the government, the president, the army invited the organizers for the negotiations to lay the path forward, some divisions had come out, with some people talking about, whether the parliament should be suspended or, dissolved. Some people saying the constitution should go out as well, with an entirely new system. Finally, over two nights of negotiations, the organizers of the demonstration and the intermediaries found a formula where the former Supreme Court Chief Justice Sushila Karki would be the interim prime minister, and she has since been sworn in by the president, Ramchandra Paudel. And now the task before the interim government is how to proceed ahead. She wants elections within 6 months, so the parliament has to be dissolved. With that, the country can have a semblance of political continuity now that the president and the prime minister are both available to run the government. This protest movement was long time in coming, because the people of Nepal were very, very disillusioned by the political process, by the political actors, revolving door prime ministers, 14 governments in almost 18 years, with the same faces playing musical chairs to reach the premiership. And the people were feeling alienated. They said, no jobs. People had to leave abroad for work, to Gulf countries and other elsewhere. And this situation was building for a while. But the spark kind of came in the form of the government's decision to ban 26 social media platforms. And this Generation Z, was mostly engaging in online platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And that kind of led to a spark that began the protests. And once the protests started, the government, I think, miscalculated and went down to the suppression route. So in front of the parliament, as the protesters were moving towards parliament, the police gunned down 19 protesters and injured so many others. And the next day, acts of looting, violence, arson. Most of the former prime minister's residences were burned down, as were the Supreme Court, the Parliament building, the president's house. Some leaders were dragged out of their houses to angry mobs. And by the third morning, the military had come out in full force and taking control of the situation, whereby a dialogue process had begun. And there were some divisions between the Generation Z, and then the president had to consult other political forces, including some of the old political forces as well, to maintain a continuity based on the existing constitution, not break away from the democratic process at all. Of course, there were certain elements to this drama where even the interim prime minister's appointment was maybe not be seen as constitutional, but the country had to move forward. I think that with the appointment of the interim prime minister and her cabinet, she'll finalize her full cabinet, they would focus on anti-corruption measures, maybe make an inquiry commission to check allegations of corruption and punish whoever is guilty. And then within 6 months, hold elections so that a new parliament can be created. And the hope is that new faces will emerge, the younger generation leaders will emerge, and they will take control of the country and then chart a future according to their agenda. Well, to be clear, their agenda is not very clear beyond the punishing anti-corruption, corrupt politicians, bureaucrats, other people. But once this ball is rolling, I think we'll have a much clearer picture of what the Generation Z wants and how to proceed ahead with government policies that would alleviate the pressure on the people, maybe create new jobs inside the country, be more responsive to the needs of the people, and not focus on the power games that has been characteristic of Nepali politics for the past almost 2 decades, since the abolition of the monarchy and the creation of a new republic. So there is hope among the country, in the country, and there is some trepidation also, like whether there will be some miscalculations along the way, or whether some missteps would be taken that would maybe even create new instability. So I think the onus is on the new government and the new ministers who will be there, their other appointees, how swiftly the government can assuage the concerns of the people at large, and how the army, the police forces, the state security apparatus can restore normalcy, take control of the law and order situation, make sure that there's no resurgence of violence like the one we saw. So there is a sense of hope prevailing. It is late night in Kathmandu right now. The prime minister has been sworn in, so maybe by tomorrow things will become more clear. There is a sense of optimism, I would say, but also of some anxiety about where the future would lead the country. Thank you.